Good evening and welcome to Just the News. It's a Friday night, so before we let you get into the weekend, we have a lot of stories to work through. Let me get straight to them. To begin with, the Controller Auditor General of India, which is the auditor that audits the finances and the decisions made by government, has put out a report noting that the amount of money directly transferred from the central government to various agencies implementing plans in Gujarat has gone up 350% since 2015. Incidentally, this figure did not show up in the state's annual finance accounts. Now, CAG, which is the auditor, has pointed out that the quantum of funds transferred has gone up from 2,500 crore rupees back in 2015-16 to 11,659 crore rupees in 2019-20. Just to requote the report that CAG put out, I will tell you, it says, and I quote, the central government has been transferring funds directly to state implementing agencies for various schemes and programs, both in the social and economic sectors. As these funds are not routed through the state budget or the state treasury system, the annual finance accounts do not capture these funds. Thus, to that extent, the state's receipts and expenditures, as well as other fiscal variables are derived from this, do not present the complete picture. Some of the schemes where the major transfers of central government took place directly include about 3,000 crore rupees transferred as part of the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, where farmers were given some minimum income support of 6,000 rupees per year, 1,667 crore rupees for the Metro Link Express from Gandhinagar to Ahmedabad, also known as the Gujarat Metro Rail Corporation, which is a joint venture 50-50 from state and central government and others. Petrol and diesel prices have gone up again today, hitting all-time highs now across the country. This is the third increase in 4 days. Petrol prices increased 25 paise and diesel prices have gone up 30 paise. So with this new increase, Mumbai petrol now at an all-time high of 107 rupees and 95 paise per litre. Diesel in Mumbai is 97 rupees and 84 paise. In petrol in Delhi is 101 rupees and 89 paise. Now remember, like I told you earlier, the price of fuel is about 40 rupees of petrol, plus 1 rupee for transport, 3 rupees for dealer commissions. Round about, you're talking about 44 or 45 rupees is what the actual price of petrol is. So everything from 45 rupees to 107 rupees is state and central taxes. That number is expected to go up further, by the way. Okay, so several reports, including ANI, have quoted sources saying that India has decided to impose what they call reciprocal action on UK citizens arriving in India. So reciprocal basically means tit for tat action. Remember, UK had decided that Indian nationals will have to go into quarantine even if they're fully vaccinated. Now, apparently, according to ANI, UK nationals arriving in India from the 4th of October onwards will have to undergo mandatory quarantine of 10 days after arrival, even if they are fully vaccinated. UK citizens will have to take, apparently, the RT-PCR test 72 hours before departure, again on arrival at the airport, and then again on day 8 of their quarantine. This comes after UK imposed similar restrictions on the 17th of September on Indian citizens and people coming from South American and African countries. Basically meant that even if travelers from these countries are fully vaccinated, they will be considered unvaccinated. Following the backlash in several meetings with the Ministry of External Affairs, the UK has said that it will now recognize the Serum Institute of India's Covishield, but Indians vaccinated with it will still have to quarantine in order to travel to the UK. British officials said the problem is not with our vaccine per se, but it is with our CoWIN app, which they don't really trust the certification entirely. The Supreme Court today talked tough to the protesting farmers. It lashed out at a group of farmers who are protesting against the 3 farm laws and said, and I quote, strangulated the entire city of Delhi by blocking highways. This comes after farmer organization, the Kisan Mahapanchayats, asked for permission from the Supreme Court to hold a satyagraha at Jantar Mantar in Delhi. Supreme Court bench told the farmer body, and I quote, you have strangulated the entire city, now you want to come inside the city. The residents around are happy. Are they happy with the protest? This business should stop. If you have faith in the courts, then pursue for an urgent hearing instead of protesting. Are you protesting against the judicial system also? You block highways and then you say your protest is peaceful. Citizens also have rights to move around. Their property is being damaged. You are affecting security also. You've stopped defense personnel also. The court asked the group to file an affidavit saying they're not part of the protest that is blocking the national highways. Over 4,000 resident doctors in the state of Maharashtra have begun an indefinite strike across the state today. The Maharashtra State Association for Resident Doctors. Remember, resident doctors are doctors who are training to be surgeons in various hospitals. They have said that they will continue their strike till the state government fulfills their demands, which includes a waiver of tuition fees for postgraduate medical students, COVID incentives for the work that they're doing, better hostel facilities at government run medical colleges. The doctor said that no action has been taken by authorities in response to their demands in August. They have now requested assurance in writing that their demands will be fulfilled. Now, the resident doctors are the ones who work the hardest and have shouldered most of the responsibility of COVID treatment in our government hospitals in a state like Maharashtra, which actually faced the worst brunt of COVID. They are now asking that they be given incentives for the work that they've done and not be required to pay tuition fees for the post-graduation courses that they're doing. A quick look at those COVID numbers though. India reported 26,727 new cases in the last 24 hours. Kerala reported 13,834 cases and 95 deaths. So Kerala's numbers are coming down, and that is heartening to see. In the meantime, West Bengal has decided to relax its night curfew in the state between 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. for the Durga Puja celebrations. This will be applicable from the 10th to the 12th of October. On other days, the night curfew will continue with an exception of health and emergency services. Mumbai civic body, the BMC, has now issued new guidelines for the Navratri festival in Mumbai, allowed physical darshan at the mandals but has banned the Garba festival. To set up a public mandal, you have to take prior permission from the BMC. Only 5 people will be allowed for physical darshan at any given point of time. There will be no distribution of prasad, and flowers has been allowed. Setting up of stalls has been restricted. The festival will be held between the 7th and the 15th of October. A quick look at news coming in right now from the world of business and economy. Bloomberg reported earlier that Tata Sons has won the bid for Air India. However, according to NDTV, the government has now denied these reports. The Secretary of Investment, Public Asset Management from the Finance Ministry tweeted saying media reports indicating approval of bids by Government of India for Air India disinvestment are incorrect. Media will be informed of the government decision as and when it is taken, end quote. But there were a lot of people cheering Tata Sons for possibly winning this bid, given the fact that Air India was actually a Tata product airline back in 1977 when it was started by the Tatas and then taken over by the Government of India. If this actually works out, it will go back into the Tata stable. According to a report by Indian Express, via an RTI reply, it is apparently shown that the central government has worked on a draft of e-commerce guidelines, which is now being opposed by the Niti Aayog in the central government, saying these guidelines are a terrible idea. They will severely harm the ease of doing business and impact small businesses. Now, records show that apparently the Department for Promotion of Industry has flagged several problems and anomalies and questioned provisions and suggested remedies and tweaks to this new set of rules that the Department of Consumer Affairs has worked on. This includes examinations of the proposals of fallback liability, many things including cross-selling and mis-selling in those draft rules. Remember, these rules have been written by the ministry that's headed by Piyush Goyal, who is in charge of Consumer Affairs, which drafted the rules, as well as the Ministry of Commerce, under which the DIPT. So basically, 2 departments under the same minister are now locking horns over these set of rules. In the meantime, according to a report by the India Infoline Finance Limited, IIFL's Wealth Hurun India report, Gautam Adani and his family earned in the last 1 year 1,002 crore rupees every day to quadruple their wealth, which has gone up now to a little over 5.05 lakh crore rupees from what was 1.4 lakh crore rupees a year ago, making Gautam Adani the second wealthiest family, not just in India, but in Asia. The only person standing in front of him right now is Mukesh Ambani. This is the first time that both Gautam Adani and his Dubai-based brother Vinod Adani have broken into the top 10 wealthiest people of the country. In the meantime, India's richest family, Mukesh Ambani, is earned 169 crore rupees every day over the last 1 year. His fortunes went up 9% and is now at 7.18 lakh crore. Look at news coming in right now from across the world. Australia's Prime Minister Scott Morrison announced that the country will reopen its international borders in November. Now, remember, in March 2020, Australia shut its borders and banned its citizens from traveling overseas without permission. You'll also remember there were cricketers in India who had to find their way back to the country, who were locked out of their country effectively. That might now be reversed in November. The Australian Prime Minister has also said that citizens will be able to travel overseas if their country achieves a target of 80% vaccination. Currently, apparently, they're at 43% total vaccination. The World Health Organization has said half the countries in Africa have vaccinated 2% or less of their population. Only 15 countries out of Africa's total 54 have reached the global target of fully vaccinating 10% of their population at the end of September. Nearly 90% of the high-income countries have met the 10% target. Remember, world leaders have expressed concerns about the vaccine gap because there are Western countries that are now administering a third dose, whereas many countries in Africa have not managed enough doses to vaccinate their population even once. An update from the world of sports. India's opener Smriti Mandhana has become the first ever Indian woman cricketer to smash 100 in a pink ball test. Pink ball test is basically a match that's conducted partly day, partly night under the floodlights, so the pink ball allows for better visibility. The 25-year-old reached the mark out of 170 deliveries in the first innings of the Indian women's first ever day-night test in Australia in Queensland. And a piece of positive news, if you need any more, Mumbai's civic body BMC has achieved the feat of vaccinating 1 lakh beneficiaries for 4 consecutive days in the city. Over 1.23 crore beneficiaries have been vaccinated in the city since the drive began in January this year. Over 81.5 lakh beneficiaries have taken the first dose, and about 41 lakh people have gotten fully vaccinated in the city of Mumbai, which is good to see because Mumbai was among the worst hit in both of the waves of COVID. That brings us to the end of the news. Thank you so much for listening. I wish you a really good weekend. I will see you again on Monday.